Mark Zuckerberg has changed his tune. I'm not sure where this comes from, man. I'm not sure if he's sincere because he's making some allegations here about the government, about the Democratic Party, about how they kind of put pressure on him, right? They had that pressure, that Biden pressure. So, of course, we got the lovely ladies of The View that have their opinion on this, which I think is interesting, man. You'll see how they can actually shape a narrative, right, and not give the full context. Let's dive into this and let's see what you think. We're gonna go to the ladies of The View first. Let me fast forward this
The
real quick.
Zuck stops here.
That being said, now we're going to something kind of surprising, I guess. Online misinformation and hate speech continue to plague social media. Meta and Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says he's following the footsteps of ex-owner Elon Musk by getting rid of third-party fact-checking on the site. Now, here's what he said yesterday.
We've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. We're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X. We're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action.
Oh, boy. I'm just curious because human rights activists warn that this is a major step back that'll have misinformation, conspiracy theories, and bigotry running wild on the site. My question is, when did fact-checking become a bad thing?
Since Donald Trump became president.
Yes.
Absolutely. You're right. Absolutely. I have said from the giddy-up that the worst thing that he has done is cause this misinformation and lying going on.
Alternative facts.
This alternative facts that Kellyanne Conway,
Yes.
she said alternative facts.
You want to know what's interesting about that is now that I've paid more attention to politics and I've paid more attention to The View, they spread a lot of misinformation as well, and they leave a lot of context out, and they mislead people all the time. If you take a look at Sunny Halston, how many times did they tell her, hey, you have to read a legal statement because of some misinformation that she was giving on people. So for them to sit up here and say that Donald Trump, misleads people, or he's the reason, why there's misinformation out there, I believe that's disingenuous. Either they're totally oblivious to the misinformation that they put out there, or they know exactly what they're doing, which I think it's kind of nefarious, right? They know exactly what they're doing, and they're spreading misinformation on purpose. So I would like to say this, man. When you talk about conspiracy theorists have been on a run. Conspiracy theorists have been right about a lot of things that have, that have come to light. Information has come to light. We live in an information age. So all this information is coming out. You have a lot of people that's doing a lot of due diligence, and they're finding out information. People are actually stepping up and giving their testimony about things that were, this is a conspiracy theory, and it ends up being true. So for them to say that, conspiracy theorists, they make it sound as if conspiracy theorists have not been on this championship run for years. I mean, come on, man. Let's get back to the lovely ladies of The View.
You know, this guy Zuckerberg, I saw the movie, wasn't it Social Network?
Yeah.
Where he says basically, I'm creating Facebook so people have a community, so that people can talk to each other. All of a sudden, it's become this big thing about, and a big lying machine that's going on. And, you know, the wokeness is what is at the bottom of this.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm sorry. If being woke is a bad thing, that means that the fact that I care about you, regardless of what you say or who you are, I want to make sure your family is as well off as mine is. That's too woke. It's too woke for me to say to you, hey, listen, if you don't want your kids reading this, maybe the best thing to do is let's go to the library together and I'll tell the librarian what I don't mind my kids reading. And then you can tell the librarian what you don't want your kids to read. That's too woke.
Well, the new rules on Meta, Facebook, they're imperfect. I will say this. I think it's a balance between content moderation, free speech, and fact checking. And what I think Facebook has gotten wrong for some time is they've had third-party fact checkers, but then Facebook Meta would ultimately make a decision on can this content be on. Oftentimes, fact checkers can't, or these staffers at Facebook can't have biases. I actually think, listen, X has become a hellhole for a lot of reasons, but I think that community notes actually work. You have to cite your source.
Let me interrupt you. What does free speech have to do with fact checking?
Because it's imperfect. It's not as simple as the sky is blue, the grass is green. We know the facts on that. Sometimes it comes into opinions or viewpoints. This is still a town square. I tend to be a free speech absolutist as long as it's not harming someone else.
We know the difference between an opinion and a fact. We do
no,
it
but
every day.
A lot of this can be viewpoints where somebody could say, well, this is my viewpoint on it, and there were moderating things around language you used around certain issues. But to the point I was saying, community notes actually work. They have to be cited to sources. My issue is the algorithms. These tech companies are run by billionaires. They're completely unaccountable.
I like the community notes on X. I think what's happening too is on Facebook, there was a lot of people who were saying that they were being banned for their views. Okay, so if you're being banned for your views, especially if your views are, more right wing, or you have some theories on certain subjects, certain subject matters, and you're being banned for those things, I think that's a huge problem. You are definitely suppressing freedom of speech. You're not allowing people to express themselves and say, hey, these are the things that I'm seeing in the world, and this is my opinion on it, right? Now, hate speech the thing about hate speech is you can't sit up here and say, hey, I want to have freedom of speech, except for hate speech. Now, am I a fan of hate speech? No, but I understand that in order to have freedom of speech, you're going to have to be able to have hate speech. Even though I don't agree with it, you don't agree with it, we should be able to just tune it out, okay? Because what happens is they get to determine, like everything becomes hate speech. Everything becomes hate speech. And then, okay, well, if that's hate speech, we'll go ahead and censor it, and we'll ban you. You saw a lot of banning on Facebook, Instagram. A lot of people were saying, hey, I can't even have an opinion now if the opinion is opposite of the views of the fact checkers on Facebook, then I am going to be banned. I think that's crazy. I think Mark Zuckerberg is going in the right direction with this. Whether he's telling the truth about why he's going in the right direction, I don't know. He might be a little disingenuous there. I'm not sure. I mean, only Mark Zuckerberg knows. But what it looks like is, okay, well, Donald Trump is coming into office. I need to go ahead and think about my company. Okay, I mean, he's one of the richest men in the world, and whether you like Facebook, Instagram or not, they are the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They have the most subscribers, I believe, of all social media platforms. I don't believe that they are the best social media platform. I really think that since Elon Musk has taken over X, I think X is number one. I think they're the number one social media platform for it's definitely for news. and entertainment too. X is doing the damn thing, man. I see a lot of great things for X, but let's continue. Oh, Alyssa, man, she needs to be careful, man. I like what I'm hearing from her, man. She is coming out swinging against the ladies of the View, man, and you'll see. You'll see that there's a little tension, little tension. Let's get back to the ladies of the View.
Congress hasn't regulated tech in over 30 years, and they can push what you're seeing more of. They can hold back what you're not seeing. And that, to me, is the biggest issue. But we can complain about it all we want. We need to tell Congress that they need to also get involved.
Yeah, they absolutely do. The misinformation, the World Economic Forum listed misinformation and disinformation as the most severe short-term threat globally. So by removing these fact checkers, I understand the concern was, and Joy, this might answer your question, there were some conservative viewpoints that were being taken down. So these fact checking industries started right in 2016 when President Trump was elected the first time. Yeah, it would be something like when there were debates on masks or shutdowns, they were taking these things off of the site, which as someone who could have debated that, these people were saying you're taking our content off of this site. But there's a difference between Alex.
Is that allegedly or is that factual?
Oh, there's
that's their
reported
conversation.
evidence.
Yeah, there are reports, there are things they took off. But the bigger point here is there's a difference between Alex Jones spewing hate, disgusting, false, and having a difference of opinion. But either way, I'd rather have them get it wrong.
I'm an Alex Jones fan. And I disagree with her there because there was one point where I really didn't pay attention. Once again, I say this all the time. I wasn't really paying attention to politics. I wasn't really paying attention to Alex Jones. I mean, he did get one thing really, really wrong. That was a big wrong. I disagree with him on that big ass wrong. That was a big wrong. But a lot of other things that Alex Jones talks about, a lot of it I agree with. Not everything, but a lot of it I agree with. I think Alex Jones has the best interests of the country, and I think that Alex Jones is a straight no chaser, man. He's gonna give it to you real, dude. I'm an Alex Jones fan, man. Let's continue with the lovely ladies of the View.
Occasionally with a screen door between free speech and say anything you want. So I'm frustrated that they did this because social media is already on the downgrade, and he pretty much admitted he did this because of President Trump.
You know, I'm going to just reject the fact that we don't know what a fact is.
Really?
I reject it outright.
No
There
one's
is a difference
suggesting that,
between
though.
opinion and fact. And there is, journalists like people that are, work for the New York Times, they know how to fact check. Journalism students are taught you fact check 3 different sources.
Journalists have gotten things wrong, though.
So this
That's
notion,
happened throughout
but
history.
this notion that, the reason that they're doing this is because, they can't fact check
Does it? But free
let me
speech gives you.
Okay, I disagree with her there because I know a lot of people in media, okay? They want the exciting, sexy story, okay? And a lot of times there's a lot of context left out. There is misinformation. They will go ahead and put information out that is not totally fact checked. I know this for a fact. So for her to sit up here and say that, and her being in media, I just think she's very disingenuous, man, with a lot of the things that she says. That's just not true, especially mainstream media, okay? Putting out the facts is not paramount, okay? There might be some facts in there, and it all depends from story to story, okay? But man, getting out there first, and getting out there on a story that is, sexy and this is going to get everyone's attention. That is what mainstream media is aiming for. She knows this. You could just tell by some of the things that she says. She knows she's going to get a reaction. And when you get reactions like this, you get what? You get high ratings. So people are going to watch you, okay? There's something to be said about drama-filled stories, sexy stories. It's going to captivate the masses. They're going to pay attention to these stories. There's a reason why we're paying attention to Diddy. Okay. Yeah. Is the allegations disgusting in the video that we saw with Cassie in the hotel room, in the hotel lobby? It's disgusting, right? But you have a lot of people who don't even listen to hip hop music or even really know who Diddy is. Or we call him Puffy. They don't know who he is, but they tune into it because it's a sexy story. It's a drama-filled story. It's disgusting. We want to give our judgment on this man. It's the truth. More concerned with stories like that than, I don't know, let's say stories with the stock market. People that are in the stock market that are being, robbed by hedge funds that are illegally naked short selling and trying to bankrupt companies. And the government agencies like the SEC that sit around and give small fines. And then they say, hey, we're going to write off tens of billions of dollars because we can't collect the fines from the people that committed the crimes, right? That's not such a sexy story unless you're a retail investor and you're in that world. That's not the masses. That's not the majority of the population. So the lovely ladies of The View.
You have a right to be wrong. I have a right to post something that's inaccurate. I have a right to say the grass is blue.
Facts are different.
That shouldn't be taken down simply because it's fact, not true.
Disinformation is different. And so I think what you're finding is this company is also getting rid of content restrictions on topics like gender identity and immigration. Calling women, by the way, household objects is now permitted on Facebook.
But do you think it shouldn't be as well?
Users are now allowed to, for example, refer to women as household objects.
It's an interesting conversation.
Let's take a break because
I need to finish what I'm saying.
There has to be some attention paid to Paul when he is over there praying to me. We will be right back.
I just wanted to put a button on what I was saying. There's a difference between free speech and hate speech, and we know that. Free speech, I welcome. I think everyone welcomes. It's your constitutional right. When you start delving into hate speech, which is what is happening all over social media, there's a problem with that. When you start delving into misinformation and disinformation, there's a problem with that. Meta's new hate speech guidelines permit users to call people in the LGBTQ plus community mentally ill. That is harmful. That is harmful. And the last thing I'll say is, let's just break it down to bare bones. This is about President-elect Trump going back to the White House. Mark Zuckerberg and Meta dined with Trump at Mar-a-Lago in November. Meta just donated $1 million to support his inauguration. Zuckerberg also elevated Joel Kaplan, the highest-ranking Meta executive closest to the Republican Party, to the company's most senior policy role. And on Monday, Zuckerberg said Dana White, the head of the Ultimate Fighting Championship and an ally of Trump's, would join Meta's board. This is about the fact that our many corporations, and especially these oligarchs that own these social media companies, are bowing down to Trump so that they can make money off of the American people.
I have a question. Couldn't it just be that Mark Zuckerberg is telling the truth? That his company, Facebook, Instagram, all of his companies were actually told, hey, we need to go ahead and we need to monitor what you're allowing on your platforms. We're going to go ahead and suppress freedom of speech. We want to determine what is allowed and what is not allowed. Could it be that Mark Zuckerberg is telling the truth? It always has to come back to Donald Trump. You see how Sonny Holston does that? Let me just go ahead and make this thing about Donald Trump. Instead of Mark Zuckerberg could possibly be telling the truth, or he's just looking out for his company and he just wants to go roll with the winner. Who knows? In 4 years, if there's another party that if the Democrats come in and, Mark Zuckerberg might roll with them. I mean, who knows? We don't know, but she is going to blame Trump for everything. Everything that comes out of her mouth about Trump, it's always negative. This man could never do anything right when it comes to Sonny Holston. And it's Dana White. Dana White of the UFC, which I have met a few times. Nice guy, man. Nice guy. Let's get back to the lovely ladies of The View.
We can all have a bit of a conversation here. So this is actually more complex than we're making it, but on the free speech of it, and I actually agreed with Mark Zuckerberg. Of course, there's pressure because Trump's coming into office, but I do think that there's a cultural and societal desire to be able to talk about things openly. And actually, liberals used to be the ones who were super pro free speech. The famous saying goes, I disagree with what you're saying, but I'll defend to the death your right to say.
Yes,
so
but I will not defend to the death your right to call me.
Here.
Sometimes it happens like this. Be nice. She didn't talk for 20 minutes.
And I always like hearing what to say.
Go ahead.
But that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm trying to make the point that hate speech, something that incites violence, is not legally ever protected under the First Amendment. My ability to say a housewife is a household object, I can say that. It can offend you. I don't agree with it, but you absolutely, under the First Amendment, have a right to say it. And the fact that we're policing speech because it makes people uncomfortable or they don't like it or it offends them, I don't think it's how we should engage it.
If somebody decides, as they do often on these social media places, to call me
Don't even say the word.
Well, let's.
I get death threats on social media.
If we're going to have this conversation, then let's have it.
All right, go ahead.
When are we going to start? When are we going to start to take away the power of the N word, man? You know, if you think about it, we give that word so much power, and you know, that's a word I've thrown around my whole life, right? And of course, it's a term of endearment in the community. You know, we say, "Hey, what's up, my?" You know, "Hey, man, that's my," you know, whatever. That's just how we talk. But we get, you know, infuriated because, you know, it was that was a nasty word. It derives from, you know, hate. But, you know, you keep it going. You keep it going by allowing that word to have so much power over you. Let's not allow that word to have that much power over you. And I don't know when the last time, you know, these ladies have been in any hoods. My Latino family, my Latino brothers and sisters, man, they use the N word more than the brothers. No cap. Latino, go to the barrios, man. Go to the Latino hoods, man. I have Latino family. I know what the hell I'm talking about, dude. We are together all the damn time. They throw the N-word around more than the brothers. It's a fact, dude. That word should not have the power that it's had on people for centuries, man. We need to go ahead and just take that power away. But let's get back to it.
There are certain things where we all agree, boy, you shouldn't be saying that. That is not curbing your free speech. It's asking you to, not you, asking one to respect the fact that people don't want to hear that word when it has to do with them or Native Americans or women.
There's also
or
an
any
element
of
of choice that comes
under the hateful guidelines.
But by the way, there is an element of choice that comes into this. I would never subscribe to somebody who would use that language or who would incite
No, but you're on a site that says now, you know, maybe it's okay to say
it. Wasn't before.
Well, you guys were focusing on hate speech, but some of the beginning things they did were Facebook removed all content that said COVID was a man-made disease. There was a group of people claiming it was, and they were considered off limits. Now it's debatable, and they released that. So my point is, there's a difference between the obvious awful stuff you're talking about,
those things
but
to be able
it's
to be
shutting
said on
down
social media.
Conversations, which that's the point.
And again, some things are black and white because you don't have all the facts.
Yes, but not everything is black or white. And the things that we know are black and white are the things that we can say, you know what? You don't need to do this because we've decided collectively as a group of human beings that we're going to respect, because they always talk about respect. If you're going to respect people, there are certain things I want you to say. If you run the thing, say, I'm not going to accept that. Or
I got a question, man. As a society, have we just gotten too soft? I mean, man, the things that people are so sensitive about. I know how we came up, right? And I know how we were raised, man. And it just seems like, man, that the generations after us, especially now, man, soft. Like everything is so, I'm so sensitive. You can't do this, you can't do that. Dude, what kind of world you think you living in, man? You're gonna get eaten alive out here in this world, man. If you continue to be soft and you think everyone's gonna be nicey to you and treat you this or treat you that. I get it, man. You know, you have to determine, you know, how you're going to be treated and the level of disrespect that you're going to tolerate or not going to tolerate. Oh, I get that. I'm just saying, man, every little thing is a problem. You can't say this, you can't say that. You're going to go cancel comedians. You can't use this word, can't da 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 da. Everyone wants to go in the corner and cry. Look, man, you got to toughen up. You gotta toughen up, man. Y'all need to travel a little bit, man. You go to some of these parts of the world that's got it bad, man. They don't give a damn about your sensitivity. Your ass to get robbed. Better quit being soft out here in this world, man. Let's get back to the lovely ladies of The View.
For all of the folks who are applauding, you can also not get on Meta.
Well, that's the freedom, that's the choice. Rather than saying we have to shut down. And by the way, what if it's in a rap lyric? What if it's something that's in a comedy sketch? Oftentimes, language is used in comedy that's represented on social media.
No, you don't hear it. You don't hear it very much on social media. You're not allowed to do it in comedy.
But that's not a good thing. I don't think silencing speech.
You can't just go out there and call people names.
I'm not saying calling people names. I'm saying some of these words that they're saying are protected.
Can I say something? There was a time when there were cartoons when I was a kid, right? And they would make fun of Italians. What's the matter, you? You know, he's a pizza. Everybody was a pizza maker. And I, as a child, I felt like that was offensive to me. So I understand. I have empathy for people who don't like it. When you are making fun of their group in a nasty way.
Right.
Now, the people who are doing this are not from minority groups. They're from majority groups. And so
this is not me saying every person at this table gets hate speech directed at them every day. No one is.
All right, I guess no one gets to finish a sentence here anymore. Okay.
No, I think the point Alyssa's making here is she is a free speech.
Don't speak for her. She speaks very well for herself.
No, but and I'm not doing that.
We all act like we're for free speech when it's the things we like. When somebody wants to defend the free speech of people we disagree with,
that is not true. I don't want you calling me. I don't want people to call.
Comedy needs to be able to push limits.
Listen, comedy does push limits, but be smarter in your comedy. You don't need to offend me to be funny. I don't need to offend you to be funny. And so there are
tends to be offensive and push boundaries.
That's actually not necessarily true. The best comedy doesn't always tend to be offensive. It just doesn't.
Okay, the First Amendment.
Man, Alyssa better be careful, man. I like her, man. I think she's telling the truth. I think she's the most truthful one. I don't agree with everything she says, but I believe she's the most truthful one, man. Look at Whoopi. I'm talking to you too, Whoopi. Even though I'm a fan, I respect your work. Sometimes I just think that your opinions on The View, I just don't agree with them. Okay. But Alyssa, she better be careful, man. You see Joy. Joy's about to jump out of her seat and say, girl, you know where you at? You on the set of The View. You about to lose your view. I'm about to dot your I's. Joy is upset. Oh man, she said she can talk for herself. She ain't got no problem talking and interrupting there and carrying on. She about to get beat down on the set of The View. You see Joy? Joy's starting to stretch. Oh man, let's continue, man. I like when the ladies on The View. I like when they go at each other like this, man. This is great television. This is great entertainment, man. Y'all keep going, man. I love it. I love it.
Doesn't apply to private companies, which is why I'm frustrated Mark Zuckerberg did this. But there are countries in Europe who have modified the way they're allowed to talk about people. I actually support some eliminations on hate speech, which makes me not an absolutist, but I'm okay with it.
Because there are things that we collectively can say, we respect everybody's right not to be called a name. If you take that away and you allow that, It's a problem.
They didn't allow it before, and they allow it now, and they
well,
allow
it's
it
not
now.
a good
never
thing.
really existed on any platform I've been on.
Donald Trump.
There's
is a
never
liar.
been a social media platform that's existed where you can't call people names. I've been called names on every platform that didn't exist.
But here's the thing: it doesn't
Donald
make
Trump,
it.
it was
But it doesn't make it right.
But let's say facts, not say because Donald Trump got elected, now you can call names on social media.
Well,
that's not
why
true.
That's why Mark Zuckerberg is doing.
Are you on the ground again? He is. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Lovely ladies of the View, man. Look, man, some people think they're insufferable. I actually like seeing different points of view. If you're that offended, then don't go to certain platforms. Just don't engage. If you're on social media, if someone is irritating you, or you don't agree with their points of view, or whatever, or they're being disrespectful, block them. We're like, oh, I gotta serve justice. I gotta serve them justice. And let me start typing. Oh, they about to get it. I'm about to give them comment of hell. This comment gonna get them hell. Block them. If you don't agree with it, block it, man. Or don't go on the platform at all. If there's TV shows you don't like, movies you don't like, music you don't like, don't partake. Just no, it's not for me. I'm listening to Whoopi and Joy and I'm listening to them, right? So where does it end? You can't use certain words or say certain things in comedy, in movies, on TV shows, in music. So where does it end? So you're just specifically talking about social media platforms. So where does that end? You want to censor everything now. Oh, well, you can't say this, you can't say that. I get it, man. Some people out here are just very, very evil and hateful people. They're going to say some horrible things. They're going to make up some horrible things. At some point, every race is the problem of the world, right? You get a certain group or groups that's going to sit up here and blame this race, this nationality, this religion, so on and so forth. Everybody is going to get it, right? And I don't agree with that hateful rhetoric. I don't agree with it. But if we're going to talk about freedom of speech, you have to allow it. Over here, I want you guys to see the actual the full statement by curly-haired Mark Zuckerberg. Let's check out Zuck. Let's check out Zuck.
Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed, so we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
There you have it, man. Straight from Zuck. He said that the U.S. government was pushing for censorship. So you know they was applying pressure to this guy, man. I can imagine he was probably being very, very nice. I can imagine the conversations that he was having with the U.S. government, which is the Biden administration, right? If we go back to what Sunny Holston was saying, okay, she was trying to make this about Donald Trump, okay? It sounds like to me, Zuck is relieved. Now, this could all be an act. I don't know, but it sounds like to me that the man is relieved. He could get back to business. It's probably two parts. One, he wants to be able to have latitude when it comes to freedom of speech, more latitude. Anyway, so you have that aspect, and you have the aspect of Mark Zuckerberg possibly saying, hey, I do want to play ball, and I want to let the incoming administration know, hey man, no hard feelings. Hey man, sorry. Sorry we was, suppressing and banning right-wing opinions and people that was pro-Trump, man. My bad. So it's probably some self-preservation there as well for himself and his company. It could both, I can hold both of those ideas in my head and be like, okay, I can see it.